Imagine a night sky, suddenly ablaze. Not with stars, but with hundreds of projectiles, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and suicide drones launched simultaneously, aimed at cities and strategic targets. For hours, the world watched, holding its breath as an unprecedented aerial assault unfolded. Yet for the most part, the targets remained intact. How? How did a nation, smaller in size, facing an overwhelming barrage, manage to intercept an astonishing percentage of this incoming threat? This isn't a hypothetical scenario. It's the stark reality of the recent missile barrage launched by Iran against Israel. And at the heart of this unfolding technological drama lies a critical question. How did Israel's Iron Dome, supported by an intricate web of Western air defenses, manage to effectively neutralize a salvo designed to overwhelm and devastate? This confrontation wasn't just a military engagement. It was a real-world stress test for advanced missile defense systems, revealing the cutting edge of modern warfare technology in real time. The implications of this battle are profound. It's reshaping strategic doctrine, forcing military planners worldwide to reevaluate offensive and defensive capabilities. It's demonstrating, in vivid detail, the critical importance of layered air defense, while simultaneously highlighting the ever-evolving threat posed by sophisticated, cost-effective missile and drone swarms. This isn't just about two nations. It's about a global shift in military balance, where the ability to defend one's airspace against complex aerial threats is becoming paramount. Join us as we journey through the intricate world of missile defense, from the earliest concepts of intercepting airborne threats to the ingenious design of the Iron Dome and the broader systems that now stand guard. We'll explore the technologies that enable this seemingly impossible feat, the challenges that remain, and what this recent barrage truly means for the future of warfare. The silent, almost invisible battle for the skies is unfolding now, and its lessons will resonate for decades to come. Before the sophisticated precision of a modern interceptor missile, before the seamless coordination of networked radar systems, the problem of aerial threat defense was fundamentally rudimentary. For centuries, the primary defense against airborne projectiles, from arrows to cannonballs, relied on fortifications and evasive maneuvers. With the advent of the airplane in the early 20th century, the challenge escalated dramatically. Suddenly, the battlefield gained a third dimension, and the vulnerability from above became a terrifying new reality. The initial answer was simple. Try to shoot it down with ground-based guns. This was the birth of anti-aircraft artillery, AAA, crude cannons pointed skyward, relying on human eyes and basic calculations. The early ideas for defending against aerial attack were born from necessity, and often bordered on the fantastical. Imagine the desperate efforts during World War I as pilots tossed bricks from their cockpits or fired pistols at enemy planes. As aircraft became faster and more robust, so too did the demand for more effective countermeasures. Early thinkers and tinkerers, many of them artillery officers or amateur inventors, began to conceive of ways to not just shoot at a plane, but to predict its trajectory and intercept it. This era saw the development of rudimentary acoustic detection systems, giant listening cones designed to pick up the faint drone of approaching aircraft long before they were visible. These were often cumbersome, inaccurate, and easily fooled by one or multiple targets. The fundamental problem was one of speed and three-dimensional prediction. An aircraft, unlike a ground target, moves rapidly in complex patterns. A shell fired from a static gun aimed directly at a plane would always miss, as the plane would have moved by the time the shell reached its predicted location. This led to the theoretical understanding of lead prediction, firing not at where the target is, but where it will be. Early attempts to mechanize this involved complex slide rules and manual targeting computers, requiring teams of operators working in concert under immense pressure. These systems were slow, prone to error, and only marginally effective against fast-moving targets. The concept of a guided projectile, one that could actively steer itself towards a target, was still largely confined to the realm of science fiction. The challenge wasn't just propulsion, but guidance and control. How could a missile see its target? How could it adjust its flight path in real time? Failed attempts involved crude wire-guided rockets or rudimentary radio control systems, often unreliable and easily jammed. The technology simply wasn't mature enough. Vacuum tubes were bulky and fragile. Radar was in its infancy, and computing power, as we understand it today, was non-existent. Yet each of these early struggles, each frustrating miss, and each theoretical breakthrough slowly built the foundation. They identified the core components necessary for effective air defense: accurate detection, rapid target tracking, precise trajectory prediction, and ultimately, a projectile capable of intercepting the moving target. This long, arduous genesis, spanning decades of trial and error, laid the conceptual and engineering groundwork for the revolutionary systems that would emerge much later, particularly as the threat evolved from conventional aircraft to the far more challenging realm of missiles. The true spark for effective missile defense, as we understand it today, didn't ignite with anti-aircraft guns, but with the chilling realization of a new, unstoppable threat: the ballistic missile. The German V-2, striking without warning in World War II, presented a problem that conventional anti-aircraft fire simply could not solve. It was too fast, too high, and its trajectory too predictable, yet too sudden for human-controlled systems. The problem was clear: an incoming object traveling at hypersonic speeds, descending from the edge of space. The solution demanded something equally revolutionary: a missile designed to intercept another missile. This was the genesis of what would become the anti-ballistic missile, ABM concept. Among the earliest, most visionary figures to seriously tackle this daunting challenge was Dr. Richard T. Whitcomb, an aeronautical engineer at NASA, though his work was more on the aerodynamic principles that would later apply to such interceptors. However, the true pioneers of active missile defense in the post-war era were largely teams working within the nascent defense industries of the United States and the Soviet Union, driven by the escalating Cold War and the looming threat of nuclear annihilation. Key figures emerged from places like Bell Labs and Western Electric, engineers and scientists who understood radar guidance systems and rocketry. One of the foundational breakthroughs came with the development of sophisticated radar systems capable of tracking small, fast-moving objects at extreme ranges. The earliest attempts were plagued by clutter, atmospheric interference, and limited processing power. The breakthrough involved moving from simple pulse radar to more complex continuous wave (CW) illumination radar, and then phased array radar, which could electronically steer a beam, track multiple targets simultaneously, and provide highly accurate velocity data. This was critical for predicting the exact interception point. Concurrently, the development of guided interceptor missiles themselves was a monumental task. Unlike an anti-aircraft missile aimed at a slow-moving bomber, an ABM had to hit a bullet with a bullet. This demanded unprecedented speed, maneuverability at high altitudes, and a highly precise guidance system. Early prototypes, like the U.S. Army's Nike Ajax and later Nike Hercules in the 1950s, represented the first steps. Their function was relatively straightforward. A ground-based radar would track the incoming threat and guide the Nike missile towards an interception point, where its conventional warhead would detonate, relying on blast fragmentation to destroy or disable the target. Obstacles were immense. Technical hurdles included miniaturizing vacuum tube electronics for the interceptor, developing rocket motors with enough thrust and burn time, and creating robust airframes that could withstand the incredible stresses of high Mach flight and rapid maneuvers. Social and political obstacles were also significant. There was intense debate about the feasibility and cost-effectiveness of missile defense. Could a system truly be foolproof against hundreds of incoming warheads? Would it destabilize the nuclear deterrent by inviting a first strike? And financial constraints were ever present. These were incredibly expensive programs requiring vast investments in research, testing, and deployment infrastructure. These were overcome by sheer strategic necessity and sustained government funding. Driven by the existential fear of the Cold War, the world's initial reaction to these first working prototypes was a mix of awe, relief, and profound concern. On one hand, the notion of defending against ballistic missiles offered a glimmer of hope against inevitable destruction. On the other, the very existence of such systems underlined the terrifying reality of the nuclear age and fueled a technological arms race, pushing both offensive and defensive capabilities to unimaginable heights. The spark was lit, and the fuse was long, but its eventual detonation would reshape global security. From those early, theoretical sparks and rudimentary prototypes, the concept of missile defense embarked on a complex, multi-layered ascent. It was a journey driven by the ever-increasing sophistication of offensive missile technology, demanding a constant, frantic pace of innovation. What began as a singular focus on intercepting Cold War ballistic missiles slowly evolved into a layered defense architecture capable of countering a spectrum of threats, from short-range rockets to advanced cruise missiles and, in time, even hypersonic gliders. The immediate post-World War II era saw a feverish push, especially in the United States and the Soviet Union, to develop anti-ballistic missile (ABM) systems. The Nike Zeus program in the U.S. during the 1950s was a prime example. This system aimed to intercept incoming ICBMs high in the atmosphere using nuclear-tipped interceptors. The core change was the integration of powerful, dedicated tracking radars with an interceptor missile fast enough to reach the incoming warhead. While it achieved some impressive test intercepts, the major improvement was in radar technology, specifically the development of vast, powerful mechanically steered radars like the AN/FPS-35 and later the Phased Array Perimeter Acquisition radar, PAR, capable of detecting targets thousands of kilometers away. The world received these developments with a mix of dread and hope, as the prospect of a truly effective defense against nuclear attack seemed to destabilize the very concept of deterrence. However, the ABM Treaty of 1972 significantly curtailed the deployment of large-scale national missile defense systems due to concerns about strategic stability. This shifted the focus for many nations, particularly smaller ones, towards short-range air defense, SHORAD, and medium-range, surface-to-air missile, SAM systems to protect against aircraft and, increasingly, against the emerging threat of tactical ballistic missiles and cruise missiles. This era, particularly from the 1970s through the 1990s, was characterized by the maturation of technologies that would prove critical for modern systems. Solid-state electronics miniaturized the bulky components of early radars and guidance systems, making them faster, more reliable, and more mobile. The advent of microprocessors allowed for sophisticated algorithms to track multiple targets, calculate complex intercepts, and manage engagements automatically. Consider the evolution of SAMs. Systems like the U.S. Patriot missile system, first deployed in the early 1980s, marked a significant leap. Originally designed to counter aircraft, its capabilities were dramatically improved, especially after lessons from the 1991 Gulf War. The Patriot's key changes involved its AN/MPQ-53 radar, which combined search, track, and engagement functions into a single unit, and its track via missile (TVM) guidance, where the interceptor itself would relay target information back to the ground station for more precise mid-course correction. This improved its ability to engage tactical ballistic missiles, even if with mixed success against fast-moving Scud missiles. Its improvements included faster reaction times and the ability to engage multiple targets simultaneously. The world's reception was initially cautious, then increasingly appreciative as its potential against missiles became clearer, despite controversies over its real-world effectiveness. Rival systems, like the Russian S-300 series, also emerged, showcasing similar advancements in multi-target engagement and extended range thought as the threat diversified. so did the defense. The late 20th and early 21st centuries saw the proliferation of less conventional, often asymmetric aerial threats, unguided rockets, mortar shells, and early drones. These threats, while individually less potent than a ballistic missile, could be launched in large numbers, often from close ranges, causing significant civilian casualties. Traditional SAM systems, designed for high-value, high-altitude targets, were often too expensive, too slow, or simply unable to engage these smaller, low-flying, short-range projectiles effectively. This critical gap became acutely apparent in regions facing persistent, localized rocket attacks. This evolving threat environment laid the groundwork for a truly revolutionary system, one specifically designed to counter these short-range, saturation attacks. The need was for an economical, high-volume interceptor that could be deployed rapidly and operate with minimal human intervention. It needed to differentiate between threats targeting open land and those aimed at populated areas to conserve expensive interceptors. This unique problem set led to a distinct path of innovation, separate yet drawing from the broader history of missile defense, culminating in systems like the Iron Dome. This ascent was not linear, but a complex, reactive dance between offensive innovation and defensive counter-innovation, shaping the very nature of modern air warfare. The genuine revolution in missile defense, particularly for asymmetrical threats, didn't explode into the mainstream through a single grand declaration. Instead, it emerged as a critical necessity driven by persistent, localized conflicts, most notably in the early 21st century. The defining moment for the Iron Dome and its subsequent widespread recognition came not from a Cold War standoff, but from the relentless, low-cost rocket attacks faced by Israel from its southern and northern borders. Why then? The answer lies in a confluence of factors: the cheaper, more accessible nature of short-range rockets and drones for non-state actors, which bypass traditional air defenses, the societal imperative to protect civilian populations from these indiscriminate attacks, and crucial technological maturation. By the early 2000s, advances in computing power, sensor technology, and miniaturization finally made it feasible to develop a system that was both effective and critically cost-efficient, enough to intercept relatively inexpensive, unsophisticated threats. Traditional Patriot batteries, costing millions per interceptor, were simply not viable for countering thousands of crude rockets, while governments were the primary drivers behind the development of these highly specialized systems. It was often a unique partnership with private defense contractors that led the charge. For the Iron Dome, it was Rafael Advanced Defense Systems in Israel, with significant financial and technical support from the United States. This collaboration merged urgent operational requirements with cutting-edge engineering. The deployment of the Iron Dome began to fundamentally change daily life and military strategy in Israel. Before its widespread implementation, communities near conflict zones lived under constant threat of rocket fire, dictating everything from urban planning, like the necessity of bomb shelters, to school attendance and economic activity. The ability of Iron Dome to intercept the vast majority of incoming rockets, particularly those heading for populated areas, dramatically reduced civilian casualties and property damage. This didn't just save lives. It transformed the psychological landscape of living under threat. It allowed for a semblance of normalcy to return, minimizing disruption and demonstrating that defense was possible even against a persistent, low-tech barrage. This visible success reverberated globally. Other nations facing similar asymmetric threats, or looking to bolster their layered defenses, took notice. The Iron Dome became a symbol of effective short-range missile defense, proving that an active defense could be a viable and transformative counter to what was previously considered an unmanageable problem. It shifted the paradigm from simply enduring attacks to actively and effectively negating them, leading to a profound reassessment of defensive strategies worldwide. In the last 2 decades, particularly since its combat debut, The Iron Dome has not only become a cornerstone of Israel's defense, but has also spurred a global reevaluation and diversification of short-range air defense SHORAD systems. The core innovation of effectively intercepting inexpensive mass threats has seen continuous refinement and expansion. What has changed in the last 20 years? The most significant advancements are in software algorithms and sensor fusion. The Iron Dome's radar, originally designed for precision, has been enhanced to handle even greater volumes of simultaneous threats, distinguishing more accurately between rockets heading for populated areas and those that will land harmlessly. The interceptor missile, Tamir, has seen improvements in its maneuverability and targeting capabilities. Crucially, the system's brain has become more intelligent, constantly learning from engagements, optimizing interception calculations, and minimizing the use of expensive interceptors by prioritizing threats. This has significantly improved its cost-effectiveness and overall success rate. Even against increasingly complex barrages, the technology has diversified beyond just intercepting rockets. The Iron Dome system has demonstrated capabilities against mortar, short-range ballistic missiles, and even certain types of unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs. Its design philosophy, a robust radar, a sophisticated control unit, and a nimble, affordable interceptor, has influenced other short-range air defense systems globally. Countries like the United States, which partially funded Iron Dome's development, are now deploying it within their own forces or considering similar systems for expeditionary use. The key players in this contemporary era include the original developer, Rafael Advanced Defense Systems, consistently upgrading the Iron Dome. Other major defense contractors worldwide, like Raytheon Technologies, a partner on Iron Dome for the U.S. market, and various European and Asian companies, are developing their own advanced SHORAD and counter-UAV solutions, learning from and competing with the Iron Dome's success. The modern uses and scale of impact are profound. Beyond direct missile and rocket interception, these systems are critical for protecting high-value assets, forward operating bases, and civilian infrastructure in conflict zones. They provide a vital layer in a nation's overall air defense architecture, acting as a crucial lower tier that complements longer-range systems like Patriot or DOD. The recent Iranian missile barrage against Israel in April 2024 served as the ultimate real-world test, demonstrating the Iron Dome's remarkable capability to defend against a mass, multifaceted attack, preventing widespread devastation. Its success underscored its current status as a highly effective, battle-proven system. Briefly, issues surrounding these systems include their cost per interception, especially when faced with extremely cheap drones. The challenge of swarm, attacks designed to overwhelm even the most advanced systems, and the ethical debates surrounding the protection of civilians in conflict zones versus the targeting of combatants. The technological race continues, with both offensive and defensive innovations constantly pushing the boundaries. The world before the widespread adoption of systems like the Iron Dome was one where short-range, unsophisticated rocket and mortar attacks against civilian areas often went unanswered. Cities near conflict zones lived under a perpetual cloud of fear, with daily life dictated by the threat of indiscriminate bombardment. Schools closed, businesses shuttered, and populations lived in a cycle of siren alerts and frantic dashes to shelters. This was a world where a basic, inexpensive projectile could hold entire communities hostage. Today, due to innovations spearheaded by systems like the Iron Dome, that reality has been fundamentally altered. Parts of life that were permanently changed include civilian resilience. The most profound impact is the ability of civilian populations to maintain a semblance of normalcy under threat. The Iron Dome's high interception rate significantly reduces casualties and property damage, allowing schools to remain open, businesses to operate, and public life to continue even amidst hostilities. It transformed the purely defensive, reactive posture into an active shield. Military strategy. It redefined the cost-benefit analysis of asymmetric warfare. Previously, terror groups could launch cheap rockets, knowing the defender would either have no counter or that any counter would be disproportionately expensive. Iron Dome, while not cheap, provides a viable, effective counter, forcing adversaries to reconsider the effectiveness of such tactics. It emphasized the need for layered defense systems, showing that no single system can handle all threats, but a combination of long-range, medium-range, and short-range defenses creates a robust umbrella. Technological proliferation. The success of the Iron Dome sparked a global interest and drive in developing similar cost-effective short-range air defense solutions. Nations around the world, recognizing the growing threat of drones and inexpensive rockets, are now investing heavily in similar counter-ram rocket, artillery, mortar capabilities. This technology, therefore, has led to a cascade of further innovations in areas like precision targeting for small, fast threats, and sophisticated command and control systems that can differentiate between targets and prioritize interceptions. This was undeniably a turning point in modern military history. It wasn't just about intercepting rockets. It was about demonstrating that technologically advanced defense could effectively counter low-tech, high-volume threats, a problem previously thought to be intractable. The Iron Dome's legacy is a testament to persistent innovation in the face of evolving threats, offering a powerful blueprint for protecting populations and strategic assets in an increasingly complex and interconnected world. Its influence extends far beyond the immediate battlefields where it operates, shaping the future of defense doctrine and technological development globally. So, what's next for missile defense in an ever-evolving landscape of threats? The technological arms race is continuous, and both offensive and defensive innovations are pushing the boundaries of what's possible. The future of missile defense is poised for even more dramatic transformations. Moving beyond the current paradigms, current research and development are heavily focused on countering hypersonic weapons. These projectiles, capable of maneuvering at speeds exceeding Mach 5, present an unprecedented challenge, rendering traditional interceptors and radar systems largely ineffective. The pushes towards multi-layer, networked sensor grids, potentially involving constellations of satellites and advanced airborne sensors, designed to track these elusive threats from launch to impact. Interceptors themselves are being redesigned for extreme speeds and precision, potentially employing directed energy weapons like high-energy lasers as a shoot-down capability for future defense. Experts predict that within the next decade, we'll see initial deployments of these specialized hypersonic defense systems, likely starting with fixed-site protection. Another significant emerging trend is counter-UAV, CUAV technology, specifically addressing swarms of cheap network drones. The Iron Dome, while effective, still uses relatively expensive interceptors. The future will involve a blend of solutions: electronic warfare, EW systems to jam or spoof drone controls, high-power microwave HPM weapons to disable drone electronics. In a wide area, and even AI-powered autonomous interceptor drones that can engage multiple threats simultaneously with less human intervention. The goal is to develop cost-effective, high-volume defenses that can differentiate between civilian drones and hostile ones, making ethical considerations paramount. Intelligent speculation suggests a future where missile defense is not just about intercepting, but about preemption and integrated deterrence. This could involve advanced cyber capabilities to disrupt launch sequences, or even the development of left-of-launch strategies that target the supply chains or infrastructure of missile production. Defense systems might also become increasingly AI-driven, learning and adapting in real time to new threat profiles, predicting attack vectors with unprecedented accuracy, and orchestrating responses across multiple defense layers simultaneously, almost like a digital conductor for an orchestra of interceptors and countermeasures. This ongoing technological arms race raises fascinating questions. Will offensive weapons always find a way to outpace defense? Or will future defensive systems achieve a true impenetrable shield? How will the proliferation of these advanced technologies impact global stability and the balance of power? And what unforeseen applications, beneficial or otherwise, might emerge from the relentless pursuit of defensive perfection? From the rudimentary anti-aircraft guns of the early 20th century to the sophisticated AI-enhanced defense systems of today, the battle between aerial threat and interception has been a relentless saga of innovation. The recent missile barrage against Israel and the remarkable performance of the Iron Dome and its allied defenses served as a stark, real-world demonstration of how far this technology has come, transforming the landscape of modern warfare. And the very ability of nations to protect their populations, this ongoing technological arms race underscores the critical importance of continuous research, development, and strategic adaptation. The future of defense against airborne threats will demand even greater ingenuity with advancements in hypersonic interception, anti-drone swarm capabilities, and increasingly intelligent, integrated defense networks. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the cutting edge of war tech. If this exploration of Iran's missile barrage versus Israel's Iron Dome resonated with you, please like this video, share it with others who are fascinated by the intersection of history and technology, and most importantly, comment your thoughts below. What do you believe is the next big leap in missile defense? And for more deep dives into the strategic technology shaping our world, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell.